Welcome to the 10-Minute Treasurer. My name is Jeff Pospisil. And in this video, I'm going to share with you one of those nerd problems that accountant types face. So this is the common scenario. You have an annual amount for a budget, but then you have to divide it by 12 so that it will be a monthly budget. But the number doesn't divide evenly. So there's some extra pennies, or maybe you're short some pennies, and it just bugs you. And you could either manually go in there and adjust them all, or here's my solution. All right, so here I am. I'm on my budget template. By the way, I was in the QuickBooks desktop app, and I was just going to import the budget. And there's this template. And what it does is it kicks out. You can have it pre-filled if you want to, but I didn't for this example. But it kicks it out with your chart of accounts on that side and the months. And this is just a column I added. So this is like normally what you would do is you would approve an annual budget. And much of it you could just divide by 12 because it really doesn't make a difference. There's some things like your income and maybe certain expenses that you probably want to map out and say, okay, I expect income to be higher if I'm at church in like November and December and maybe in March and April, and then leaner during the summer months. But for most of it, you could just divide by 12. So that's just what I'm going to do in this example. So I put my annual budget, I just type that in and I put it right there. And I also added a couple of columns to check myself. I'm going to zoom out one notch. So this is just a sum. So it just adds up everything in here. So that, and then this compares it. So I just want to make sure that I'm on. So normally what you might be tempted to do, and this is, but it won't help you a ton, but you might go equals your annual amount divided by 12. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you fix that reference. So if you make sure that the dollar sign is in front of the N, you see right there, it says $sign N5. And I'm going to go ahead and go okay. And if only every single value was divisible by 12, wouldn't that make our life a whole lot easier? But then even when I go down, everything looks perfect. So let's go ahead and, if I was going to keep going down for all these, everything looks like it's adding up perfect. But when you go to import it, there's a number of these that go further than just 2 digits. So like this one, it's 8,333.33333 repeating. So when you actually go and enter it, it's going to be off. What you're going to get is if it was rounded. So I'm just going to use the round function. Round it to 2 decimal places. And I'm just going to copy that over so you can see. So this one, it doesn't get affected because it's divisible by 12. But this one, you can see I'm off by 4 pennies. And if you're like me and you're kind of a stickler about this, it bugs you that it's off by that much. And that one's off by 2 pennies, and that one's off by 4 pennies, and all these are off. That one's, so most of these are a little bit on the low side. This one's on the high side by 4 pennies, and it bothers me. So what I used to do is I used to change the December one, the very last one. So I'd say equals my annual amount, which is right here, minus the sum of everything that's before it. And close parenthesis. And now you're going to see that it does fix things. But again, if you're like me and you're kind of a stickler about this, the thing that should bug you is that this number is quite a bit off from the rest of them. So again, I know it's not a big thing. I know I should be able to ignore it, but I just can't. So what I came up with was my ultimate solution would be so I'll leave this one as this divided by 12. And what I'll do is I'll add the number of the month up top here. So 1, 2, I'm just going to go ahead and drag that over. All right, so you're going to see why we did this in a little bit. So this is just a count of the number of months. So this is the second month. So what I still want to do is I want to do this number divided by 12. So the total divided by 12. And then I want to multiply it by my number of months. And I want it to stay in that row 1. So I want the dollar sign in front of the row. So now actually what I'm doing is I'm saying I want 2 months worth. So if I just hit enter here, it's going to say 2000. I don't actually want it to say 2000 because I want to subtract everything that's in front of it. So sum, and I'm going to go ahead and click on B5. And if I hit the colon, it's going to put another B5 there. And one of the things you're going to want to do is you want to, that first one, you want it to stay in B5. You want it to stay always looking at January. So I want that dollar sign in front of the B. So here, when you click on it, it says this number, your total divided by 12 times 2 months, and then subtract everything that's in front of it. And now I'm going to drag it over. And you're not going to see any difference really. But if you look at this one, again, it's looking at this number divided by 12 times 12 minus everything that's in front of it. And you're not going to notice a difference until you get down to, and you still got to use the rounding. Otherwise it will not make a difference. Won't look right. So you can see that every 1 out of 3 months is that 84 cents, and it makes sense. Let's look at this one. Actually, this is going to be the easiest one to understand. Is that normally this would be 16.66666 repeating. So if you'd round that up, it'd be 16.7 if you get to right here to February. So that's why it makes sense that it's the middle one that is the one that's more. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with the rest of these. And you can see how it affects them, and everything works out perfectly when you look over at the right. All these are 0. Everything adds up perfectly. This, I could import this and it would get all the decimal points in the right one. So that way February is going to be a little bit more expensive of a month by a few pennies. So, but all my rounding is perfect. All right, I hope that was help. Like I said, this is one of those nerd problems that accountant types face. I'm going to put a link to that spreadsheet, that budget spreadsheet, in the description. So if you want to see how I did it and you want to copy it, go for it. All right, till next time, God bless you.